Friends, it's Team Men, and I'm back with a new video on our good friend, I am Longevity. So I'm gonna do a reaction to the longevity slave himself. I am Longevity, which I think is really actually shortgevity, but okay. Anyway, so this I am Longevity guy, Tony, says he just discovered motor unit training. Really? Okay.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm only going to say this once, well not once, whenever somebody does it, because I'm really getting like sick of this stuff. Dr. Brad
Me too, I'm getting sick of this stuff. Hey, it's Dr. Brad
Stanfield. This is specifically for you, also for your Mr. Physionics friends.
Oh yeah, I know Physionic, the German guy, yeah.
Nicholas Verhorn, whatever his name is. You watched my videos.
All right.
You commented on my video. You saw the science I've been explaining for months, years, about motor units, how they decline, how they protect the body.
Yeah, everything declines. Myogenic decline, that's why you look so aged. There's senescent cells. There's everything. There's cells are not replicating anymore. They become senescent. Yeah, there's a decline in motor unit. There's only a decline in motor unit because there's a decline in muscle. If there's a decline in muscle, there's a decline in motor unit. It's a possibility, but there's not really a decline in motor unit. There's what we call motor unit recruitment. So do they really decline? Not that I know of. They're there. So if you start moving your body around, they have to be recruited. And so they have to share themselves across many fibers. That's what they do. They don't, I think they don't replicate, but they share themselves or whatever, somehow across these myofibrils. So I don't know what Tony's talking about. And eccentric exercise recruits more motor units than what he does jumping around exercising. I can prove it. See this? In science, if you look it up, and I'm just going to use AI because it's a lot faster for me. So if you type it up in AI, eccentric exercise, well, eccentric exercise recruit more motor units. That's why it's a superior modality, eccentric exercise, than him jumping around in the park adapted. Get it? Anyways, so it's more superior in motor unit recruitment than concentric exercises, and that's what he does because they generate greater force production. So if they generate greater force production, then you can recruit more of them. Can you create more these so-called motor units? No. They exist in there. So I don't know what Tony's talking about. You can't create more of them. You can recruit them, but you can't create more of them, according to science, okay? So there you go. It's like you can't replicate them or whatever. They're just there. You can recruit them. And then they're shared over a vast territory of muscle. So there you go. So eccentric exercise recruits more of these motor units. See what I mean? Then concentric exercise, they generate greater force production due to what? Increased cross bridge force and the number of attached cross bridges. This increased force requires more muscle fibers to be activated, leading to greater recruitment of motor units. Yeah, greater force production. Muscles produce more force during the eccentric phase, lengthening, than the concentric phase, shortening. This is because the muscle fibers are being stretched, which allows for more cross-bridge attachment and force generation. See what I mean? So it's a superior modality. It also wears off senescent cells, a bunch of stuff. Look, man, it's more sophisticated than you think it is. Hold on a second. Med, satellite cell user, lose it. So you go to PubMed, satellite cell, use it or lose it. Look what it says here, hey? Use it or lose it, aging. What does it tell you here? It says satellite cells respond to, hold on a second. Oh, in response to injury, satellite cells are able to activate, re-enter the cell cycle, creating new cells to repair and create nascent muscle fibers while preserving a small population that can return to what? Quiescence for future regenerative demands. However, in aged muscle, satellite cells that experience prolonged quiescence will undergo programmed cellular senescence. That means that if you're not activating them through damage, they will become what? They will become what? They're not going to be working. That's what's going to happen. Programmed cellular senescence. They will undergo programmed cellular senescence. And that's what's happening to Tony. He's shrinking his satellite cell pool running around. So if you shrink the satellite cell pool, this regenerative thing, then guess what? Your fucking telomeres shrink, dude. Get it? Your telomeres shrink. And that's why he looks so old. Because he has an accumulation of these stupid senescent cells. But this is a superior modality. You understand me? Eccentric exercise. Like it says here. When you get injured, when you create these injuries, these micro injuries, guess what it does? It comes out of quiescence. Get it? It creates more cells and muscles and fibers and a bunch of stuff. Do you understand me? This review examines how periodic, because eccentric exercise can only happen periodically. Activation and cycling of satellite cells through what exercise can mitigate senescent acquisition and what? Myogenic decline. The decline of the satellite cell, which is what? Associated with what? Sarcopenia. Get it, man? Yeah. So just because he's taking TRT and jumping around, it's preserving him, doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. You just think it does. You understand me? You people just think it does because you're brain dead.
How they decline, how they protect the body, and how their loss triggers aging and...
They do not decline. You can only recruit them. That's a lie. If your muscles decline, then they will, of course, they will be gone because they live in the muscle.
But suddenly, on your podcast, you pretend like you just recently discovered this line of thinking. Brad, your exact words were,
Look at this guy. He's so excited all of a sudden. They recognize his channel because they just want to hack his subscribers because he's up to 100,000 now. Everybody's trying to pull from everybody's channel. Get it?
Kind of only recently discovered this concept of motor unit training.
One of the things that I've become really interested in, and I wonder, Nick, if you wanted to...
Listen, I'm not trying to pull subscribers. I'm not even trying to educate the entire YouTube about real bodybuilding or all these kind of things. It's just for a select, intelligent group of people. That's all. You understand me? If I really wanted to build up my channel, I would build it up fakely first and then put out the information. Get it? See what I mean? It's just for some intelligent people. The rest of the slaves, they have to suffer, unfortunately. I'm not here to save those people on my channel. See what I mean? I don't know. Maybe in the future I might make another channel. I'll think about it. I could put something together and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I told you before, real doesn't work in this world. People love faking it.
Build upon this as well is this concept of motor unit training. Yeah. So I've kind of only recently discovered...
I love this. Motor unit training. Yeah. Myogenic decline training. Senescent cell training. Myofibular training. You get it, man? Sarcoplasmic training. Yeah. Hello.
This line of thinking where, you know, as we get older, basically the connections from our brain to our muscles, it starts to break down. And one of the...
As you get older, what's going on there? Senescence. That's what's going on. Senescence.
One of the ways that we can prevent that decline from happening is by doing
your regenerative power goes down with age. If you break a bone, it takes 8 months. If you broke a bone when you were young as a kid, it will take you a couple weeks to heal, 6 weeks to 7 weeks or something. But as an adult, it'll take you 8 months. Why is that? Myogenic decline. Get in.
1 rep max training or trying to do fast movement.
Well, and the fact that you're not really growing anymore either. That's another fact. That's another issue. If you kept growing, you'd probably already be dead. You would have aged and died already. The aging process is extremely slow after into adulthood.
So powerful movements and quick movements, and that's there to try and stimulate all of our neurons to activate the muscles that we that we need. And I think that
activate all the muscles that we need. Okay, what is the superior modality for activating muscles? Eccentric exercise, like it says in science everywhere. It is superior to everything that's out there.
Quite a powerful concept, and so that's an area that I've only sort of started to scratch the surface on in terms of this concept of
man, just one bout of eccentric exercise can recruit a bunch of motor units. It can bring back your muscles from the depth of fucking death. You understand me? from your deathbed. It can bring you out of your deathbed. One bout of eccentric exercise. And let's say you were even dying. Let's say your body was preparing you for death. Let's say it stopped you from eating and you started sleeping and there was no more eating. It's preparing you to die. Well, guess what? One bout of eccentric exercise, and guess what? You're not going to be dying anymore. Get it? Because it's regenerating now. You wore off the death. You wore off Mr. Death. Yeah, you're regenerating new cells. You can't die. It won't allow you to because it has to go through a regenerative cycle.
To unit training. And
Really? After watching every video I made about it, after you commented on my channel, in one of these motor unit.
I love Tony. He's so excited. He's so obsessed with this motor unit thing. Motor units, yeah. It's part of the whole grand scheme, yes.
Videos. After seeing Auckland, New Zealand on my YouTube studio over and over again.
Okay.
But here's the freaking giveaway, Dr. Brad Stanfield. You said motor unit training.
You know how powerful amino acids are? The supplement amino acids. It's so powerful that it can literally like take you too out of the depths of these problems, like this motor unit thing, whatever. You know, I started using amino acids again, like before in the past. I used a lot before when I took Brewer's Yeast. Brewer's Yeast back then was cheaper and very powerful because high in B vitamins as well. So it's not just, it doesn't just have all the essential amino acids, but it also has all these B vitamins. Yes, it's a plant protein, a yeast. But it is they do tests on it. It is associated with some sort of longevity thing. I don't know. It has some kind of regenerative abilities or powers. The only problem I don't like about it is I got problems with oxalates. I just can't handle oxalates anymore. I'm too old. But for a young person, they could handle that. Man, that shit can really build muscle like Brewer's Yeast, bro. Wow, that's fucking, that shit can really aid in building muscle. So you got a choice. You got amino acids in tablet form, which is made out of like animal product, or you could use Brewer's Yeast as a supplement to help build these muscles. It's very powerful. Yes, a plant protein. It's incredible. Yeah.
There is no such term in the academic literature. You don't see studies titled motor unit training. People say neuromuscular training, explosive power.
Yeah. It's called neuromuscular training. That's why they call it that. That's what it is. There's more explosive power in eccentric exercise, especially eccentric overload. I mean, a supramaximal.
Or fast twitch fiber recruitment, not motor unit training. That's my...
What are you talking about? Fast twitch is, man, when you're activating the fast twitch muscle fibers, Tony, then you're activating the motor units. And there's greater motor units being recruited in eccentric exercise as opposed to concentric because we're going with gravity.
Phrase. I created that term. You won't find it anywhere on YouTube.
You didn't create anything, man. That's nothing new. We already know that in bodybuilding, that bodybuilders, we recruit motor units. What are you talking about? There's PubMed studies, there's NCBI on motor unit recruitment. If you train your muscles, they're recruited. That's how they're recruited. What are you talking about? You don't just recruit a motor unit. Your muscles have to engage in order for them to be recruited, but you don't get more of them because Tony keeps trying to equate it. You're going to get more of them. They're going to magically create themselves or they're going to disappear one day. They never disappear. They don't replicate, but they recruit. That's it. And they're shared across a vast distance of myofibrillars.
No one uses that until you started watching my videos. And now, all of a sudden, you're interested in motor unit training. You didn't discover anything. You took...
No. You didn't discover anything. You're just making that stuff up. You hooked onto something and then you stayed there. You hooked onto it and you stayed there. That's what you did.
My theory that I've been talking about over and over.
There you go. He called it a theory, so it must be fake. That means it hasn't been proven. If it's a theory, it hasn't been proven. There isn't any exact proof.
My language and you passed it off like it was yours. That's not curiosity. That's intellectual theft. But wait, it doesn't stop there. Let's talk about Mr. PhD.
I love this intellectual theft. What are you talking about? It's been around forever. What theft?
Nicholas Bearhorn, physionics.
What about
a guy who has a PhD in physiology and still manages to butcher basic science about motor units. This is what he said when asked about motor units. Motor units start to decline in your 40s and 50s.
And you're talking about like motor unit training. So with power, I don't remember the exact age that it starts to decline, but it's quite early. I think it's like 40s or 50s or something like that. So it's not noticeable when you're, let's say, in your 50s, but it definitely comes to a pretty precipitous drop when you get into your 60s and 70s and beyond.
Wrong. Motor unit loss happens 25 to 30 years old. That's well documented.
Yeah. You're starting to lose muscle at the age of 30. That's what it says. Use it or lose it, right, Tony? Look, let's go back there. So if you're losing muscle, that means you're losing motor units. I mean, you're not losing motor unit, just the recruiting power of it. Let me see. So right here, where are we? The onset of skeletal muscle decline begins around the age of what? 30. He says that motor unit loss starts at the age of 30. You don't lose motor units. You don't lose motor units, not as far as I know. You don't lose motor units. You recruit motor units. They're there. You recruit them, but you don't lose them. They don't disappear. Without them, you wouldn't be able to move. You'd be an invalid. So there you go. So that around your age of 30, muscles start atrophying and associated with a number of what? Serious morbidities and mortalities. So what do you need to do? You need to build more muscle. Otherwise, you're fucked. I'm sorry to tell you that. If you don't know how to build muscle, then that's why everybody's fucked, because they don't know how to build muscle. They're adapted to their exercises. They think eccentric exercises build muscle. That's not muscle. You got bloated with some garbage. That's not muscle. And then you die. Get it? Like Blaha. He lifts, but he's suffering from sarcopenia. How could somebody that lifts weights and on TRT suffer from sarcopenia at the same time? Because he doesn't create any muscle damage in his muscles to activate the satellite cell, to expand the satellite cell pool, and to create more myofibrillar growth. Yeah, and to rid himself of these senescent cells at the same time, get rid of senescent cells and a bunch of other stuff. He's so busy trying to impress people because he has to lift a heavy weight off the floor. I need to do 500. I need to do 500 on the floor. I got to squat 500. And he doesn't even squat them. He doesn't even squat them eccentrically. He does concentric squats. They're garbage against gravity.
By 50, 60, you already lost a massive percentage of them, especially the fast twitch fibers.
No, you don't. That's a lie. You don't lose them. You can lose muscle, but you don't lose motor units. If you lose muscle, then you could possibly lose motor units. Yeah. So there you go. Look at him. He's even contradicting himself. He says you're losing motor units, and he says you're losing type 2 fast twitch muscle fibers. Which one is it, Tony?
By 75, you lost 50% of your motor units.
You don't lose. What the fuck is he talking about? Then that means you need to build muscle, you fool.
Crazy thing. He goes on to say you can get your power back when you're 90 years old.
I gotta find this. I gotta find this out. I gotta find this out, man, because I don't even know myself, because I can't remember anymore. I don't believe him, man. Hold on. Okay, it says here, yes, humans do lose motor units as they age, and this loss is significant, especially beyond the age of 60. Okay, yeah, that's if you don't use your muscle, of course, you'll lose motor units. But that means that's not motor unit, what did he call it? Exercise or some bullshit, that you got to use your muscles. This loss is accompanied by changes motor unit recruitment patterns. So listen to the word, motor unit recruitment patterns. And potential alterations in how force is produced. Yeah, you lose your force production. That I'm aware of. As people get older, they lose power. They lose their force production. Now you're skating uphill. As you reach the age of 60, man, you're literally skating uphill, because if you're trying to literally build real muscle, You're fighting against this problem and building muscle at the same time. Wow, you really have your work cut out. You understand me? Because now you're working against two forces. One that's trying to break you down, and another one where you're trying to build yourself up again. See what I mean? That is astronomically difficult. Yeah, loss of motor units with age. The number of functional motor units decreases, a process that starts during the third decade of life. Yeah, third decade to 30 years old, you lose muscle, you lose motor units. It accelerates significantly after 60. This loss is linked to the decline in motor unit neuron numbers in the spinal cord. So where is it coming from? The spinal cord. That I'm aware of. And I have spinal damage. I've got spinal cord damage that is hindering me from doing a lot of stuff. A lot of your strength and power. That's why I said, do not injure your spine. Whatever you do in the gym, be very careful. If you just get one injury, that injury can carry over when you get older. It will cripple you forever. Remember that. So you need to keep your spine very healthy. You need to be very calculated as to what it is you're doing in your exercise regime, or whatever you're doing out there. You do not want to injure your spine, not even once. And what is this? Myelinated ventral root fibers. Yes, if you lose the melanin on the nerves, that's another problem too. Fuck. Recruitment changes. While the total number of motor units decreases, the central nervous system may adapt by altering the way motor units are recruited. Well, yeah. But the best is eccentric exercise. It recruits it quickly, rapidly, fast. And you can increase them quickly with eccentric exercises. Older adults may experience reduced ability to precisely control different recruiting motor units, leading to increased vulnerability in force production. Yeah, they become kind of, weaky, shaky, fall down, all this kind of stuff. Age-related changes, yes, okay. Denervation and innervation. Loss of motor units can lead to denervation, the process of the muscle fiber losing its nerve supply, followed by potential innervation by neighboring motor units. But you can reverse all this in the weakness. You can reverse all that with eccentric exercise. Look. While eccentric exercise can improve motor unit function and potentially even recruit previous inactive units, it's unlikely to completely reverse motor unit loss in a way that restores the pre-injury state. There you go. So I don't know what he's talking about. If you can't do it with exercise, then you can't do it at all. See what I'm trying to explain to you? So he's lying. Eccentric exercise can lead to muscle damage and temporary changes in motor unit activity, but it can also facilitate adaptations and potentially enhance neuromuscular control. That I know, these things, according to the study in National Center for Biotechnology Information, NCBI. Yeah, I know, it's from NCBI. These are all from NCBI. The majority of these things from NCBI. You can see there at the top, it says +5. So I already know this. So he says that if you jump around the park and do exercise, that you can reverse that. But it says you cannot completely reverse motor unit loss in a way that restores the pre-injury state. You can't. So what the fuck is he talking about? See what I mean? You can recruit them. Whatever's there, you can recruit whatever's left there behind. Now listen, that is one of the reasons, I already knew this, that is one of the reasons why older people lose force. The people are like, why are they weak? Well, as an older person, you just keep getting weaker. So how does what's his face keep getting stronger at lifting heavy? He keeps lifting heavier, he keeps lifting heavy weights. He's 50 years old, our good friend West Coast Wolverine. See what I mean? If it's associated with a decline, you hit 50, you're declining. What is he? The Michael Hearn of the natty industry too? Is he another Michael Hearn? West Coast Wolverine? Come on, man. This is crazy. So, yeah, I don't understand any of that, but whatever, bro. So, you can't facilitate adaptation, potentially enhance neuromuscular control, or whatever. So it tells you here, motor unit changes, eccentric exercise benefits, potential. You can read this. You can bring it up in whatever, Google AI. Yeah. evidence to complete reverse, limited evidence for complete reversal of motor unit loss. There you go. Look, limited evidence for complete reversal of motor unit loss. While eccentric exercise can improve motor unit function and potentially recruit new units, there's limited evidence to suggest it can completely reverse the effects of motor unit loss. So if exercise cannot reverse it, especially a superior exercise like eccentric, then how is this guy jumping around in the park gonna get them to come back to reverse that? So he's a liar. You understand me?
A ton of research that really shows that even in 90-year-olds, you can have this tremendous reversal in power. I'm not saying that you're going to...
That's a lie. It just said there. It says it's from NCBI. NCBI says you cannot reverse it. You can recruit, but you cannot reverse. You cannot reverse. You can only recruit what you have there. You cannot reverse the loss of them. Once, let's say they're lost, and they're lost because with age they lose. It's a given. But here's the thing: you can only recruit what you have left over, so you can't get more of them.
Turn back to your 20s or anything, but you can have a really, really tremendous effect.
See what I mean? You can't turn back to your 20s or anything. I do. I notice I gotta work harder in the gym. It's astronomically difficult for me now as I'm getting older. It's not easy.
So I'm glad you brought it up.
What? No.
And I don't use steroids to produce force productions like West Coast Wolverine. You understand me? Deadlifting 500, I don't know. Well, his fake squat of a couple hundred and his bench press of 405 or something and the other lifts he's doing. And the overhead press, whatever, the 400 pound overhead press, the 500 pound bench press, and the 700 pound deadlift. He's like the Michael Hearn of the lifting industry.
You can't. When motor units are gone, they're gone forever. You can't.
Yeah, they're gone forever. You can't reverse them if you lose some of them. Yeah, you still have some though. They don't all go away. Yeah.
Train them back in 90. You cannot reverse 60 years of neuromuscular degeneration with a few dumbbell curls. This isn't just misinformation, it's fantasy science. It's irresponsible.
He's irresponsible because you can't reverse it. He said you could before. You understand? He says you're losing motor units. He came up with this thing where you're going to exercise, you're going to do motor unit exercise, and they're going to come back from the depths of death. That is a lie. You understand me? Now, if you were to build more new myofibrillars, could you get more motor units with those new myofibrillars? I don't know. See what I mean? I never asked AI that. I never asked AI these questions. I would have to fucking ask it. Yeah, I don't know what to fucking ask it. Maybe that's it. No, increasing the number of myofibrillar sarcomeres or their arrangement in series or parallel does not necessarily lead to the creation of new motor units. That's why it is just like that. While this is from NCBI. You can see there at the top, +9. You can see the NCBI logo. While these changes affect muscle force and contraction, yes, muscle force and contraction. So how is Michael Hearn getting stronger? If he's losing motor units, how is he getting stronger? How is he lifting heavier and getting stronger? While these changes affect muscle force and contraction, I do know that you recruit more motor. Listen, you recruit more motor units if you lift eccentrically, okay? So you can still be there lifting quite heavy if you're an eccentric lifter, but not concentric. Now, Michael Hearn is concentric, and so is West Coast Wolverine. You understand me? They're lifting heavy weights, but in the concentric form. So you're telling me that there's a loss of motor units, and yet they're lifting heavier and heavier all the time? They're getting older, and they don't lift eccentrically. That's where the most recruitment happens in the eccentric. You recruit more of these motor units. Whether you lost them or not, you recruit more eccentrically So you must be stronger than these other people lifting concentrically that are the same age as you. So how is Mike O'Hearn doing it if he's not an eccentric lifter? He's a concentric lifter. So how is he doing it? You don't recruit that much motor units like you do fucking eccentrically. I'll tell you how. They're taking steroids. That's how. Spinning with this receptor, giving them maximum force production. See what I mean? So while these changes affect muscle force and contraction, the primary involved adjustments to the existing motor units and the muscle fibers, they innervate. Motor units. The motor unit consists of motor. Yeah, I already know that. Sarcomeres, the basic contractile, whatever, proteins. Hypertrophy motor unit recruitment, fiber changes. Motor unit recruitment. Yeah, activating more motor units. Yeah. So I don't know what Tony is talking about. Intellectual theft.
Let me say this again so there's no confusion. Motor units are not just muscle fibers, they're neural circuits. They're experience
Hold on, I don't know. I think I was there. Okay, sorry.
shaped, precision tuned, and deeply embedded in your unique biology. When you lose a motor unit, you lose the connection between your brain and your...
Yeah, but there's nothing you can do about it. You lose them. You listen to what he says. When you lose a motor unit, you lose the connection and everything. Yeah. Okay, try to go and get it back, Tony. How do you get it? By jumping in the park doing exercises? It says you cannot reverse it. But eccentric exercise recruits more of them, not your shitty exercises in the park. Get it, man?
body. You lose the speed, the reflex, the protective mechanism against...
You lose the speed and the reflex. The reason why old people are doing Pilates is because they have a loss in sarcomere in series. Get it, dude? But in eccentric exercise, it's associated with an increase in series, in sarcomere in series. Get it, man? Through your head. And we recruit more motor units. That's how we're able to be much stronger as an older person. We don't have to take steroids because we lift eccentrically so we can get more strong. We recruit more of them.
Injury and aging. And Mr. Nicholas, that loss is irreversible. If you're going to talk about motor units on a channel, why should we just take your word? Cite the source. If you're going to teach...
I did cite the source. It says there NCBI at the bottom, the reports that I brought up. They have the tag at the top through Google AI. When they bring them up, they have to be sourced from them. That's where AI takes its information, a majority of it. Sometimes it takes it from other sites. You'll see it in the corner there. So you can distinguish where that site's coming from. That may not be a pure information site. Well, you can distinguish if you have knowledge, you have understanding. You'll know whether this is NCBI or it's something from some other site. They made up something or they fabricated something.
Science, get it right. Brad Stanfield, watch my channel. You took my terminology, misrepresented the science, and now you're...
He never took your terminology. You never created that. It's been there all the time.
running with...
I've talked about it on my old channel. I talk about it kind on here. Not really. I posted in my community section. I don't have any interest in that because there is no bringing it. It's kind of obvious. There's no bringing it back from the depths of wherever the fuck it's gonna, wherever it disappears to. Okay, dude?
it like you invented it. Well, we know...
No, my program is more sophisticated than yours because in mine, I recruit more motor units eccentrically. There's more recruiting them eccentrically than you jumping in the park around.
You did it. And trust me, I'm not some guy ranting online. I'm the one showing the world what true movement longevity looks like at 61 years old.
Yeah, you sure are.
So this...
You are showing us what longevity looks like at 60 years old. You're showing us that you look at 95, jumping around in the park, that accelerated aging is a real thing. When you exercise yourself to death, you're accelerated aging, hypoxia damage, oxidative stress, and hypoxia. Get it? You're rusting from the inside out. Yeah, look how aged you are. You look like a frail, old 95-year-old man.
This is your warning. Respect the work or get exposed. And I'm going to make sure I expose all three of you. This is
What? He's crazy, man.
absurd and ridiculous. All of a sudden you want to talk about motor units. Give credit where credit is due. Have a nice day, ladies and gentlemen.
We're not gonna give you any credit. You never invented anything. We get out of here. What is this guy talking
See you
about?
soon in my next video.
He's ridiculous. He makes it sound like he invented this, like he discovered this or something. It's been in science forever. They live in muscles. Big deal. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And there's a lot of crazy people that don't even understand what he's talking about. They just take his word for it. That's why. There's a lot of dumb people out there on the internet. What do you expect? See you in the next one. Ciao, friends. They don't even know how to look up stuff properly.